Chapter 23. The next thing I saw was a bright light shining in my eyes. It took me a few seconds, but I realized it was a paramedic. I looked around and saw I was still in Annie's apartment. I sat up and said, "Where's Annie?" "Whoa," said the paramedic. "You have a head injury. You need to be careful." Several police officers were in the apartment. One was taking pictures of the body lying near me. The paramedic started checking the back of my head when a husky, middle-aged man wearing a suit came up to me. He asked, "How are you feeling, John?" "I have a bit of a headache," I said. "Where's Annie? Are you in charge here?" He looked at the paramedic, then back at me, and said, "You know who I am. I'm Captain Kowalski. Are you having trouble remembering?" "It's not uncommon with a head injury like this," the paramedic said. "I remember good enough to know you didn't answer my question," I said. "Where's Annie?" "Annie wasn't here when we got here," Captain Kowalski said. "I was hoping you could help us find her." "Shit," I said. "What about Bruno?" "Bruno's alive. We don't know the extent of his injury yet, but he is being taken to his vet as we speak. Now, tell me, what happened here?" "It was Scott Parker and his people. They took Annie," I said. "Scott Parker, the businessman. What would he want with Annie?" "I'm not entirely sure myself. They should have wanted me." "You? Why you?" I needed to come up with an explanation that was true, but didn't make me look crazy. I said, "The reason I don't remember you, Captain, is not because of this head injury. Up until recently, I worked in security at Parker Biosystems. As near as I can piece together, I heard Parker and a General Rafferty planning something nefarious. They have an experimental machine there that they use to scramble my memory. I don't remember anything before a week or so ago." "Your story is a bit out there," he said. "I'm inclined to believe that you believe it, but if your memory is gone, how do you know what happened?" "It's a long story that we don't have time for," I said. "Annie is probably at Parker's place now. If we don't get her out soon, they will fry her brain like they did to me." The captain waved over a young officer and said, "Where's Johnson?" "I think she went with the dog," he said. "Find her and tell her we need a warrant to search Parker Biosystems," the captain said. He then looked at me and said, "Some judges are easier than others, but we need to come up with something better than the word of a man with a concussion and memory problems." The paramedic finished wrapping my head and said, "You need to go to the hospital and have that looked at." "I'm fine," I said. "I'm not going to sit around in a hospital while my fiance's life is in danger." "She's one of ours too, you know," Captain Kowalski said. "We have the entire force looking for her." "I'm sorry. I know you are doing everything you can, but somebody needs to do something you can't." I stood up and retrieved my father's hard drive. I then found my gun that was still on the floor. I picked it up, and one of the officers said, "Hey, that's evidence. You can't take that." I said, "It's mine and hasn't been fired." I pulled out the clip to show him it was full. The captain waved at the officer and said, "It's fine. Let him have it." I went outside and got into the Mustang. I didn't have a plan, so I just sat there for a while. I dialed Alex's number. "Hello, John," he said. "They have Annie. Are you able to get in yet?" I asked. "Shit, I'm sorry," he said. "I'm in now." "I was going to call you, but I'm still trying to figure out their system." "Can you disable their security system?" I asked. "Not that I can see, but I'm still looking," he said. "What about the cameras? Can you disable them?" I asked. "I do have access to the cameras, but I haven't had a chance to look at them yet. As of now, I don't see a way to shut them off." "Okay, look for anything useful. See if you can determine the number of guards on duty and where they are stationed." Just then, I heard another call coming in. I looked at the number. It was Dr. Carr. "I have another call, Alex," I said. "Call me when you know more." I hung up with Alex and picked up the call. "Hello, Dr. Carr," I said. "Hello, John," she said. "I thought you would want to know I got a call from Parker. He wants me to help with another patient tonight." That confirmed my fear. "It's Annie," I said. "They kidnapped her and are going to use their machine on her. They're tying up loose ends. I hate to say it, but you are also a loose end, doctor. What time are you supposed to be there?" "I told them I can be there at 7, she said. "Should I tell them I can't make it?" "You should go," I said. I suspect they only needed you at first because they weren't confident in the safety of their device. They used it twice without a problem. Maybe more times than that. I don't think they need a doctor there anymore, but they want you there so they can take care of you afterward. That sounds like a good reason for me to cancel, she said. I agree. My first instinct would be to stay far away from there. Unfortunately, you know too much, I said. They will get you one way or another. I know it's risky, but isn't it better to get them first? After several seconds of silence, she said, Okay, I will help in any way I can, but you have to level with me. I want to know everything you know about this machine. I told her the whole story. I told her about my father and his experiments. I told her about Gabby and everything that had happened since I woke up that day. I also told her about Annie and how important she was to me. When I finished speaking, she didn't say I was crazy or anything like that. She just said, Okay, what's the plan? Do you have a gun? I asked. Of course, she replied. I was in the army as a doctor. I learned to fight, but I was never in combat. At least you know how to use a gun. Hopefully you won't need it, but it's better to have it, just in case, I said. Let's meet somewhere close to Parker's building at 6:30 to go over the plan. Do you know a good place? Well, there's a Carrabba's nearby, she said. I don't know the address, but it shouldn't be hard to find. We can meet in the parking lot behind the building. Okay, I'll see you then. I hung up and checked the time on my phone. It was 4:15. The cops were still in Annie's apartment, and I didn't know what to do, so I just started the car and drove. I ended up at a small diner. I was about to order a hamburger, but thought about Annie. If I lived through this, she was going to help me make better choices, but what if she didn't live through this? I decided on a grilled chicken salad and a bottle of spring water. When I was almost done eating, Alex called. Hello, Alex. Tell me you have some good news. I think I am fairly comfortable with how everything works. I did not find a way to shut off the alarm system. However, I can do a soft reset from here. That should shut everything down for a short time, including the cameras, he said. How long do you think it will take for the cameras to come back up? I said. I can't know that from here, but I wouldn't count on much more than 90 seconds, he said. That will have to do. What about security? It looks like 1 guard at the gate, 2 at the entrance, 2 on the 3rd floor, and whoever is in the control room. There are no cameras there. Okay, shit is going down at around 7. I'll need your help. I'll be here. Thanks, Alex. Let me know if anything changes between now and 7. I hung up and asked for my check. I had a stop to make. While I waited, I checked my phone for nearby hardware stores. The hardware store I found was mostly on the way to the rendezvous point. I went inside and found what I needed, a roll of duct tape and the largest zip strips I could find. When I checked out, the young man at the register laughed and said, Are you planning to kidnap someone? Yes, I said, your mother. The smile disappeared from his face as I grabbed my bag and walked out. I pulled into the Carrabba's parking lot 10 minutes early. Dr. Carr had not arrived yet, so I called Alex. Hello, John, he said. Alex, are you still connected? I asked. I'm still connected, he said. Good. I'll call you back shortly. Dr. Carr showed up a few minutes later. She was driving a sleek blue sedan that I later learned was a Tesla Model S. She parked next to me on the left, and I went out to meet her. She buzzed the passenger window down and said, Hello, John. Hi, Dr. Carr, I said. Nice car? Thanks, she said. You can call me Sarah. Okay, Sarah, I said. Just a minute. I need to get something out of the car. I opened the door, grabbed the bag from the hardware store, and picked up the hard drive before locking the car. I shoved the hard drive into my front pocket. It was somewhat of a tight fit, but I didn't want to carry it. I got into the passenger seat of Sarah's car and was a little surprised by what I saw. It looked like I had jumped way more than 5 years into the future. There were no controls on the dashboard except for a large computer screen in the center. This is really something, I said. It takes a little getting used to, but I like it, she said. It looks like Alex can buy us some time once we get in, but I must admit that I am still working out how to get past the guard at the gate without setting off any alarms, I said. I've already figured that one out, she said. The last couple of times, the guard checked the inside of my car and the trunk, but there is one place he didn't check. She pulled up a menu on the computer screen, tapped it a couple of times, and the hood unlatched. The hood? I asked. You want me to climb into the engine compartment? There's no engine, she said. This is an electric car. Go on, take a look. I got out of the car, opened the hood, and saw an open space where an engine would typically be. Sarah had also gotten out of the car and was finding amusement in the look on my face. Where's the motor? I said. It's there, behind all that plastic. It's just a lot smaller than an engine, so there is extra space up here, she said. It still looks too small for someone my size, I said. It won't be comfortable, but you should fit, she said. Try it. Reluctantly, I folded myself in the small space, and Sarah closed the hood most of the way to make a point, but she didn't latch it. It was a tight squeeze, but I managed to squeeze in with no room to spare. She then opened it, and I climbed back out. Okay, I said, but I want to get close before I climb into that thing again. We drove away, and Sarah pulled over just before we got to within line of sight of the guard shack. I climbed back into what she called a frunk, which I assumed was a front trunk. I made sure my gun and phone were easily accessible, just in case. We drove for less than a minute, and then I felt the car stop. I heard a muffled conversation, and we were moving again less than 60 seconds later. After another 30 seconds or so, the car came to a stop, and I heard the latch open. I pushed up the hood and climbed out. This audiobook continues on the next video. For more information on this book and others by this author, please visit charleshuss.com.